Chapter 13. As an elected delegate from our area to the National Convention, I was off to Chicago with Elaine. Here, we were privileged to meet many new believers, and were thrilled with the change and growth of our American Baha'i community. We also met a friend who asked if I could make a trip through the South. I could not refuse service to a cause so close to my heart. The race riots and the horrible forces of negation were causing the blood of both black and white to flow in the streets, as prophesied by Abdu'l-Baha. I felt an obligation as a believer to go forth throughout that strife-torn country and demonstrate by deed and action that we, the Baha'is, were not only talkers but doers as well. At the convention, permission was finally granted by the National Spiritual Assembly to allow our family to respond to the request of our beloved hand, Dr. Jacari, to serve in Mexico as pioneers. After convention, we returned to Seattle until the end of the school term, then said goodbye to each of those Baha'is in the northwestern United States with whom we had worked so hard and whom we had grown to love so much. The trip throughout the South lasted 3 months and was very fruitful in securing new declarations, and especially for demonstrating to all the real meaning of racial unity. We stayed many times right in the heart of the black districts, living in private homes accepted and loved by all. We were threatened and cursed by the ignorant, but the feeling of spirituality among the blacks of the South is a true and beautiful ray of light in an otherwise dark and disillusioned area. In one place, where the first whites to ever enter a black church, and were received with tenderness and love, and allowed to speak to their congregation. For 3 months, day in and day out, we strove with heart and soul, as instructed by Abdu'l-Baha, and finally on 12 Asma 121, 31st of August 1965, we entered Mexico. We were assigned by the National Spiritual Assembly of Mexico to the state of Oaxaca, since one of their goals of the 9-year plan was to have believers in every state of Mexico. Oaxaca is situated in the high Sierras of Mexico, with the city and capital of the state, Oaxaca, lying in a valley nestled in these mountains. Oaxaca has the distinction of having the largest native Indian population of any state in North America, and after 11 years of pioneering in a community with only 50 families, it was heaven. Also, after 11 years of the foulest weather on earth, God allowed us the privilege of the kindest and gentlest climate possible. Abdu'l-Baha had instructed the Baha'is that before going to a country one should become proficient in that language. Praise and glory be to the wisdom of God. I have truly suffered by my disobedience. I could only say good morning and goodbye in Spanish when I entered the country. So, for 4 months, I worked day and night to master the language, and the words of Baha'u'llah, which had been the driving force of my life, kept me going. He said, "Night hath succeeded day, day hath succeeded night, and the hours and moments of your lives have come and gone. And yet none of you hath for one instant consented to detach himself from that which perisheth. Bestir yourselves, that the brief moments that are still yours may not be dissipated and lost. Even as the swiftness of lightning, your day shall pass, your body shall be laid to rest beneath the canopy of dust. What can ye then achieve?" I do not believe anyone with a sincere heart can read the foregoing and not be totally consumed with the inadequacy of time and the monumental tasks that lie immediately ahead. At the end of 4 months, I had mastered only the barest rudiments of the language. However, as I had learned so many years ago about putting one's trust wholly in God, once more I arose each dawn and went forth to the mountains that overlook the city of Oaxaca, and there communed with God in complete contentment with His holy will and pleasure. One of my first fruits and gifts from God I received from my 9-year-old daughter. Most mornings she would tumble out of bed, groggy from her sleep, but eager to help her daddy, and would dress and go with me. God alone can know the joy and happiness that would pervade my soul as this pure spirit of light would sit close to me, and in her sweet and pure voice read prayers as we drove to the mountain. Then, as the light slowly illuminated the eastern heavens, she would join me in saying the Tablet of Ahmad, which she almost knew from memory. I pray God continually that this crusade child of my obedience will continue to mature, keeping that purity and radiance of soul she now possesses. One day I advised Elaine that I was going to Mexico City. She wanted to know what for, since we did not have any money for such a trip. I honestly did not know why, but she had learned, as I had, not to stand in my way or object to the promptings of my heart. So it happened that a young girl from Venezuela, a Baha'i for only a short time, was passing through Mexico City, and when I asked her if she would like to come to Oaxaca and help for a while, she was very enthusiastic. With the blessing of the National Spiritual Assembly of Mexico, the arrangements were made. Now I would have a voice, since this child of the kingdom was bilingual. O God, my God, what tongue can voice my thanks to Thee? Once more those words, God sufficeth all things, were abundantly manifested in my life. Her name was Trina, and although new to the faith, she had a wonderfully warm, loving, and open heart, so vital to the teaching of the cause. She was to follow me to Oaxaca with some of the friends by car the following week. What prayers of thanks filled my heart as I flew back home. I determined not to lose a precious moment, and upon my arrival in Oaxaca, I turned toward that ever-present nearness to God that surrounds me. In that rarefied atmosphere of God doeth whatsoever He willeth, He is the best of helpers, I asked where we could begin. Although I have a poor memory for names, one pueblo, village, came into my heart like a neon light. The name was Soquiapan.